Have you ever stumbled upon a moment of self-doubt, asking yourself about your own value or wrestling with a plaguing feeling of insecurity? It's a common experience shared by all of us from time to time. Sometimes, these are just fleeting negative thoughts that come and go. However, there are instances when these sentiments become more than an occasional intrusion. They grow into a persistent problem that gnaws at our self-esteem and confidence. In such cases, it's not just about having a one-off bad day or a temporary slump in spirits. It transforms into a daily struggle, a relentless war with our own self-perception. In these moments, we are constantly questioning our abilities, comparing ourselves to others around us, feeling insignificant or less than those we perceive as better. These are not just mere reflections of a bad day. Rather, it's a deep-seated issue, a chronic struggle with our self-image and self-esteem. An issue that keeps us up at night, an invisible enemy that we carry around, a heavy burden that weighs on our hearts and minds. This is when we enter a realm where these feelings spiral into a persistent issue, a psychological condition that professionals refer to as an inferiority complex. Alfred Adler first introduced the term inferiority complex to the world in 1907, fundamentally altering our understanding of human psychology. This complex refers to a profound, pervasive sense of inadequacy and insecurity that dwells deep within a person's psyche. It's crucial to distinguish between an inferiority complex and the fleeting moments of self-doubt we all occasionally experience in our lives. This feeling is not merely a passing apprehension or a temporary lack of self-confidence. Instead, it's a continuous, relentless feeling that remains constant, regardless of circumstances or achievements. It's this chronic sense of insufficiency that differentiates an inferiority complex from mere insecurity or self-doubt. When left unresolved, this feeling doesn't just stay as a dormant emotion, it influences actions, leading to potentially damaging behaviors. These behaviors often manifest themselves as social withdrawal, where individuals retreat into themselves to avoid the perceived judgment of others. It can also be seen in excessive competition, where the individuals constantly compare themselves to others, pushing to prove their worth. In more severe cases, it can even lead to a pattern of self-sabotage, where individuals unconsciously undermine their efforts and success. However, it's not just the occasional self-doubt we all experience. It's a persisting feeling that can lead to damaging behaviors such as withdrawal, excessive competition, and even self-sabotage. Interestingly, an inferiority complex can be rooted in either a real or an imagined deficiency. This psychological phenomenon can have various underlying causes and is not limited to any single source. A real deficiency, for instance, is an actual tangible limitation that an individual faces. It could be a physical constraint such as a disability or a condition that limits their mobility or functionality. This type of deficiency might also encompass the absence or insufficiency of certain abilities or skills that are deemed important or necessary within a particular context or environment. It could be the inability to perform a sport, play a musical instrument, or master a specific language. On the flip side, we have what is called an imagined deficiency. An imagined deficiency is a different beast altogether. This type of deficiency has its roots not in any concrete or observable shortfall, but in the mental realm. It is a negative belief about oneself, often originating from a distorted and warped self-perception. The individual might believe that they are inadequate, unlovable, or less than others, despite there being no factual basis for such beliefs. These erroneous self-perceptions could be the result of past experiences, childhood traumas, or societal pressures. They can be deeply ingrained and affect how the individual perceives and interacts with the world around them. An imagined deficiency, on the other hand, is an unfounded belief about oneself, often stemming from a distorted self-perception. But what causes an inferiority complex? This question doesn't have a single answer that fits all. It's a multifaceted issue influenced by various factors. One's genetic makeup can contribute to this complex. Certain individuals might be genetically predisposed to suffer from a heightened sense of inferiority. Additionally, early childhood caregivers and their attitudes play a crucial role in shaping self-esteem. If these individuals foster negativity or lack encouragement, it can contribute to the development of an inferiority complex. Furthermore, the unrealistic standards set by society or self-imposed expectations are a significant contributor. These unrealistic benchmarks of success or perfection can lead to feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. In the contemporary era, we're relentlessly bombarded with images of perfection, which can exacerbate feelings of inferiority. The role of social comparison cannot be ignored. In a world where everyone's highlight reel is on display, it's easy to feel inferior when comparing oneself to others. So how would you know if you're dealing with an inferiority complex? This is a question many people ponder upon at some point in their lives. The answer lies in awareness and understanding the various cues that point towards this psychological condition. Several telltale signs and symptoms can offer insights into whether or not you may be grappling with an inferiority complex. Take a moment and introspect. If you find yourself consistently focusing more on your failures and setbacks than on your accomplishments and successes, it could be an indication. Often, these setbacks or failures are magnified beyond their actual impact, creating an inflated negative self-image. Equally telling is your reaction to criticism. If you find yourself shrinking, shutting down at the slightest critique, viewing it as a validation of your perceived inadequacy, it might be a sign. Instead of using criticism as a tool for self-improvement, you might be internalizing it as an affirmation of your self-doubt. Human interaction also a critical factor. If you're avoiding social situations, using isolation as a defense mechanism, it's likely that you're dealing with an inferiority complex. This coping mechanism can hinder your ability to form meaningful relationships and lead to a cycle of loneliness and self-doubt. Lastly, you might also be showing signs of overcompensation. This behavior involves going to great lengths to cover up feelings of inadequacy. This could manifest as striving for excessive achievements or being a perfectionist, often driving yourself too hard in the process. Overcompensation is another common symptom, where one tries to cover up feelings of inadequacy with excessive achievements or perfectionism. This complex isn't to be confused with impostor syndrome, a psychological pattern where individuals doubt their skills, talents or accomplishments, and have a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. Impostor syndrome is usually experienced in specific situations and is characterized by a chronic self-perceived incompetence, despite evidence to the contrary. It is a situational form of low self-esteem, often triggered by particular environments or circumstances. It might occur in response to a new job, a promotion, or any situation where individuals feel out of their comfort zone, and often wanes as they gain confidence and experience. Contrarily, the inferiority complex sprawls over a broader spectrum of an individual's life. It is not just a fleeting feeling that surfaces in certain situations, but a deeply ingrained, constant feeling of not being good enough. The inferiority complex is characterized by a consistent perception of inadequacy, regardless of the situation, achievements, or evidence contradicting this belief. It's an entrenched belief that, no matter what one does, they will always fall short. It's a chronic feeling of being lesser than others, which often interferes with an individual's daily life and overall well-being. While both conditions involve feelings of inadequacy, the inferiority complex is a more pervasive and ingrained belief about oneself. The repercussions of an inferiority complex can be severe, leading to social isolation and self-harming behaviors. This state of mind, often rooted in childhood experiences and cultivated over years, can become a debilitating internal force that continuously erodes one's self-worth. It's not merely a fleeting feeling of inadequacy, but rather it's a deeply entrenched belief that you're less than others, unworthy of love, success, and happiness. An inferiority complex often manifests in a constant comparison with others, resulting in feelings of inadequacy and self-loathing. It clings to every negative thought and experience, endlessly replaying them, magnifying their significance. This relentless self-sabotage can lead to an overwhelming sense of despair and hopelessness. It affects every aspect of your life, relationships, work, and personal growth. It's like fighting a battle within yourself, with an enemy that knows your every weakness. The negative emotions and thoughts associated with an inferiority complex can trigger destructive behaviors such as self-harm, substance abuse, or social withdrawal. It creates a cycle of negativity that becomes increasingly difficult to break. It's a complex that can hold you back, attacking your self-esteem and preventing you from reaching your full potential. But remember, Recognizing the problem is the first step towards overcoming it. So ask yourself, are you suffering from an inferiority complex?